Stop me if you've heard this one before, but Union Berlin continue to dominate in the Bundesliga. I bet you haven't heard actually me say that at all. Definitely not in the past, but yes, that's exactly what they're doing. They won 2-0. Fantastic opener, specifically from the club as they win 2-0 against Borussia Dortmund, who continue to struggle 8th in the Bundesliga. What a win. What a magnificent run. And Union Berlin, Shaka, Hislop, Luis Miguel Echegaray. Shaka, Union Berlin, another victory. That's 7 wins now, 2 draws, a loss. They've only conceded 6 goals. Defensively, they're magnificent. What say you, my friend? Union Berlin continue to lead the top of the Bundesliga.
Yeah, and what a surprise package they've been. It really has been a breath of fresh air to this league to see how they've started this season, and we'll see how long it continues. Up against Dortmund, a lot was to be asked of them in what is to be a difficult few weeks, but I thought they passed this test with flying colors. At home, you don't get much better starts than the one that they did. A gift from Borussia Dortmund, keeper dwelling on the ball, Haber sneaks in, he taps in, and all of a sudden, Union Berlin have the lead. They start something to build on, which they do before the break. They're 2 up. Before Dortmund can even break a sweat. And from there, I thought they were very professional about how they went about things. They sat back. They never really looked overly troubled. Dortmund huffed and puffed pretty much from the 30-minute mark all the way to the 90-minute mark. Never really troubled Union Berlin. The only real kind of nervy moment came later on in the second half. Mats Hummels getting pulled back. He thought it was a penalty. The referee, who was perfectly positioned, thought otherwise. I have to admit, when I saw it from the referee's angle, I'm a little bit surprised that it wasn't given. But even so, even if that were given and it goes to 2-1, that is a little bit more than Dortmund deserved. I don't think they troubled Union Berlin all that much. Union Berlin looked a little bit more dangerous on the counterattack in the second half. But all in all, they got the job done early and never really looked out of their depth from then on.
Let's move on to Dortmund for a second, Shaka. We did touch on them a little bit, but it's a little bit worrying for them. For so long, they've been known for being, royalty in the Bundesliga after Bayern Munich, of course. And they're no strangers to managerial changes and squad changes, but losing Erling Haaland seems to be a big dent so far. And we've talked about Union Berlin in the Bundesliga, but so far Dortmund in the Bundesliga, 8th. Forget Champions League or Europa. They might not even get anything coming into the end of this one. What's going on with them?
And that's a huge concern and difficult to answer. You're absolutely right, El. I mean, losing somebody like Haaland, obviously a big void to fill. But it's not something that Borussia Dortmund are unaccustomed to, losing their talents. They've always done a very good job in replacing them, and I know they've had some bad luck in that respect as well, but you still expected Dortmund to be a lot better than they are. When you saw Bayern Munich drop points earlier this season, the big question was, is that an opening for Borussia Dortmund to really make a title race of this? Nobody expected Dortmund to struggle the way that they have. Nobody expected us to be talking about Union Berlin and, dare I say, Freiburg as the 2 clubs best positioned at this point in the season. I know Bayern Munich are who they are, but still, given the start that they've had, I don't think anybody expected Freiburg and Union Berlin to even be in the conversation. So it has been a reckoning for those 2 clubs, but more so to point out at me, a reckoning for Borussia Dortmund. And Terjes has a lot of questions to answer. I'm not sure where he's finding the answers to those. Maybe some of those players returning turns things around. Maybe somehow things just click in a way that we don't anticipate. But right now, I'm scratching my head as to how Borussia Dortmund get themselves back into conversations around tops of the table.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.